Hello, welcome back to T-Moe's World and to a little bit of a different video this time. If you watched my recent videos, you know that I'm focusing on the GT3 series this season and that this means there is a new track for me to learn basically every week. And I would like to show you how I approach this challenge and what my basic routine is here. And it always begins with starting a set of tools which I use. And that is the Crew Chief Spotter tool, the race lab overlays, and these are really helpful during the race. You can customize them as you want. Then as an owner of various Simagic gear, I have to start SimPro Manager 2. And last but not least, before iRacing, I start Marvin's awesome iRacing app, which really improves the force feedback in iRacing. Of course, you have to disable the force feedback in the sim. I will provide links to these tools in the description. And then it's all about setting goals, and for that I go to the series which I intend to race. Then I watch the recent results, find my current iRating and take a look at the results of the latest races in these splits. There you see the fastest lap times are 1:58, but the average lap time of the middle of the pack is about 2 minutes and 1 second. So if I can get to 2 minutes and 1 second or even faster, I would be fine. And with that we head over again to the series page and select test drive. And what I do then is I click on the car and disable the car damage when first I learn a new track, because you will crash your car and it's really annoying if you have to jump into the pits and get out of the pits with cold tires again and again. So here we are on the track. I must admit, this is not the first time I'm on this track. I had one test drive session before this, but I messed up the recording. It would have been a pain to watch anyway, because as long as you do not know the turns or the braking points or anything about the track, you constantly lose the car and crash into the walls. So what I usually do is I keep one eye on the track map, the other eye on the track, and I try to keep it slow until I get a basic familiarity with the turns of the track. And that might well take up to 10 or 15 laps, depends a little bit on the track. And as you can see in the top left corner, I got my lap time down to 2 minutes quite soon. So I decided to join a real practice session with real drivers. And what that gives you is that you can compare yourself a little bit better to other drivers with other iRatings that are higher, lower or similar to yours. Also, you get the chance to see how it is when you overtake other drivers or when you are overtaken by other drivers, because then you might have to leave the racing line, and that teaches you also a little bit. So here we are on track, leaving the pits, and right away Jim tells us that we should be aware of a driver passing on the left. And immediately you see we have to be a bit more careful here in a real practice session. Also, you don't want to crash the car too often. Still being in my warm-up lap, I noticed on the track map this driver approaching me from behind, so I slowed down, let him pass, so I have a free track in front of me in the next lap. And at the end of the warm-up lap, shortly before the new lap begins, I really start to push it hard here to see what time I can get in the next lap. The tires might still be a bit too cold for a really fast lap, but that's good practice for the start of a race. Especially since iRacing released a new tire model with Season 4, and tires now need 2 or 3 laps until they reach their target temperature. Now we are approaching a slower guy who thankfully is going out of the racing line, and that's also good practice for the real race. If you spend longer time on practice servers, you of course will also at some point in time encounter another driver that you can really try to overtake and maybe practice that as well. I usually don't take the time to do that because I simply don't have the time. So my strategy then when going into a race is rather being cautious at first and trying not to throw the car away or getting into trouble. When I do more than one race, then I might start racing a bit more competitive if I can. Another thing during practice and also during the race is I take a really close look at the delta bar to be able to judge if I am too slow or if I can improve here or there. I have set up the delta bar such that it shows me the time gap to my session best lap, the overall time gap, not the sector time gap. Yeah, and that's basically it. A few laps later I was able to do again a time of 2 minutes and 0 seconds. With that I left practice, and before I did the race I of course did some warm-up laps, maybe again another half an hour, which got me down to lap times of 1:59 something. And that's it for today. I hope you liked that little bit different of a video. If so, please tell me in the comments or give a like or consider subscribing, which would be greatly appreciated. And with that, see you next time in Suzuka at race day. Have a good time. Bye bye.